So I'll say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, because I know that there are some of our panelists speaking from the US and from Canada. So I'm Ursula Riemer, Strategic Engagement Director at Quanton, and I'll be your host for today's event. So welcome. And thanks for joining us for our first online event here at Quanton for 2025. So just some housekeeping. We'll be monitoring the Q&A in the chat channel. So please feel free to pop any questions as we go along with the webinar into the chat, and we'll endeavor to answer all the questions at the end. But don't fret, if we don't get through all the questions, we will be in touch after the webinar with everybody. So we will get to all those questions and answers. And there will be email communications. So let me just kick off by reiterating what David S. Rose, who's the startup investor and associate founder at Singularity University, had to say. Any company designed for the 20th century is doomed for failure in the 21st. Now, yes, it sounds like doom and gloom, but, you know, it's probably more true today than ever before with the advent of AI, right? And the rise of AI in business. So I think it's important that we embrace and harness the power of AI to not just build and grow our businesses, but to use the power of AI to also help human relationships. And of course, that's what we're focusing on today. Now, just briefly on our agenda. So I'll be doing the welcome and introductions. I've done the welcome. Welcome, everybody. I'll be introducing our speakers shortly. We do have some really amazing speakers joining us today, and of course, 2 customers. We'll be talking about DISC profiling and what that is, and as well as Crystal Knows, who's the company, our partner, who's joining us today, and also the product we'll be showing. We'll talk about how you can gain a competitive advantage through using the AI technology in your business, and then we'll get business perspective from 2 of our customers here in New Zealand using this technology, this AI technology, to help grow their business and their businesses, and also give them competitive advantage, and also help them improve internal and external stakeholder communications. And then at the end, we'll do a Q&A. So this event is an extension of the very successful in-person event that we hosted late last year. I'm not sure if anybody attended that event. And that's where we discussed how AI can make us more human, right? And it's a bit of a strange scenario to say, how is AI going to make us more human? Because we often hear how AI will be taking our jobs. Yes, AI will be changing the way we work, and it will change certain jobs, and it will create new jobs for people. But instead of focusing on the negative, at Quanton, we like to focus on bringing the positive benefits of AI to our customers. And today you'll hear not only from Quanton, but also our software partner, Crystal Knows, as I've mentioned, but also from real customers who are seeing the benefits. It's all about improving human interaction and human engagement, right? And it also gives me great pleasure now to introduce our esteemed speakers. I really hope you all liked my beautiful slides. So today we'll kick off our session with Brandon Kim, VP of GTM from Crystal Knows. Brandon is a seasoned marketing leader with a strong background in tech startups. As a key driver for go-to-market strategies at Crystal Knows, he combines his expertise in technology, sales, and marketing innovation to accelerate growth. With a passion for cutting-edge solutions, Brandon helps position Crystal Knows at the forefront of industry, delivering impactful strategies that connect businesses with the power of personality-driven insights. Our next speaker after Brandon will be Gary Green from Quanton. Gary is the founder and CEO of Quanton in New Zealand, helping organizations gain a competitive edge through disruptive technology and AI. With over 20 years of experience, Gary has led large-scale IT rollouts and transformational change in the Royal Air Force across the UK and Europe and the Middle East. After moving to New Zealand, he worked in the banking, utilities, healthcare, and government before founding Quanton in 2016. A firm believer that true transformation goes beyond technology, Gary focuses on changing how organizations think and operate to to unlock exponential growth. Gary is very passionate about AI. I work with Gary. I can vouch for that. Operational excellence and leveraging technology to drive productivity, efficiency, and large-scale transformation. So we're really looking forward to Gary's talk. From Gary, we'll hand over to Tommy Liu. Tommy is a business advisor, expert with growth, with over 20 years of experience in finance, operations, marketing, and information system at Tommy & Co., helping Kiwi businesses grow and achieve their goal. As the managing director of Tommy & Co. Limited, he leads a team of 12 and works with a strong network of experts. He's a strategic leader with a keen eye for detail and excels in developing business strategies, influencing key stakeholders and driving long-term success. As a Kiwi of Taiwanese and Chinese descent, Tommy understands both local business practices and cultural nuances, enabling him to build strong, lasting commercial relationships. Of course, with AI, that's even better, right? His mission is to support Kiwi businesses with the right expertise and guidance to help them thrive. And Tommy is also the best dressed, always the best dressed person in the room. And once Tommy has taken us through a little bit of a case study, we'll hand over to James Collum. James is the sales director at Collum & Co. Realty in Dunedin. He's a real estate expert specializing in marketing and innovative strategies. With a forward-thinking approach and proven method, he helps clients achieve exceptional results in ever-evolving New Zealand real estate market. His expertise in market trends and strategic positioning ensures that buyers and sellers maximize the opportunities with confidence. We're thrilled to have a panel of speakers who bring a wealth of experience and knowledge and who can not only talk about the technology, but also provide real-world examples of success today. And with that, I will hand over to Brandon from Crystal Knows.
Awesome. Thank you, Ursula. And just to, again, Ursula did an awesome job introducing all the presenters. My name is Brandon. I'm the VP of Go-to-Market here at Crystal. And today what we'll be talking about is talking about the DISC personality framework and what we offer here at Crystal Knows. Before I dive into my next slide, I'm curious from our audience, who knows what the DISC personality framework is? And bonus points if you know what DISC type you are. If you could just put it into the chat if you're familiar with DISC, that would be very helpful. Awesome. A lot of folks know DISC. This is awesome. This is going to be a refresher then. Again, for those that may not be as familiar with DISC, DISC is a personality framework that's been around for hundreds of years. DISC is an acronym that stands for dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. And what the framework does is it categorizes you into one of these four major categories. Based on the category that you're assigned, it shares with you how to best communicate what expected behaviors you may have. And so we'll quickly go through high level of what type of person is a dominant type personality versus a steady in our next slides here. The first category we'll be talking about is dominant types, or what we call D-type personalities. D-type personalities are assertive, intense, ambitious. Typically, co-founders, C-level execs, anyone in a very senior role typically fall under a D-type personality. If I were to share with you how D-types view their work, they almost view it like a sports arena. These are really hyper-competitive folks. They're very intense, very ambitious, not only for themselves, but for their team, and they like to hold their team accountable as well. The celebrity personality that I always bring up to equate what a D-type personality is none other than Chef Gordon Ramsay. And so he fits that D-type mold to a T. And it's important to know when someone is a D-type because they're going to have some ways that they want you to work with them. For D-type folks, when you interact with them in a business sense, shorter is better than longer. You don't want to have an email that has multiple paragraphs. You really want to get to the point into 1 to 2 sentences and make your ask very clearly and succinctly. So when you're working with D types, it's important to bring up bottom line results, and it's really not important to go embellish a long-winded story to guide them through a journey. They just want to cut to the chase very, very quickly. I types, or what we call influential types, are enthusiastic, cheerful, and outgoing. Typically, sales reps and any customer-facing role fit into that I type mold, where they're someone that loves to share inspiring ideas. They love a grand vision. These are people that want a story and for you to walk through a journey with them. I types view their work like a stage. They love to present, they love to show, they love to bring other people into the conversation. And so when you're working with I types, it's important to spend time on telling what your story is, because that is something that will naturally resonate with I type personalities. S types, on the other hand, or steady types, are calm, patient, and respectful. These are folks that you want to build a relationship with them. If you cut too quickly to business, it really rubs them the wrong way. These are folks you want to see how their family members are doing. How are their dogs or cats doing? Very, very different than D types of what we just spoke about. S types view their work like a second home. And so when you think of change being implemented into an organization, S types are naturally going to want to see what is all going to be impacted and how others can be impacted by that change. The celebrity profile that I bring up here is Mother Teresa. She is a classic S type where she is someone that thinks about others and how change or anything is going to affect others. And so when you're working with S types, falling back on guarantees, warranties are really, really important because they want to move a little bit more slowly than the other DISC personality types. Finally, we have our conscientious types. Conscientious types are objective, skeptical, and logic. Typically, engineers, CTOs, data analysts are the ones that fall into this category, where these are folks that like more information rather than less. Again, in contrast with the D type, C types love a long email. They love every thought kind of processed out, inputted so that they know that you've thought about the details. These folks are very, very detail oriented. C types view their work like a laboratory. These are natural born kind of scientists where they like to experiment, they like to measure, and they like to find out what the results are at the end, and then circle back to kind of what their hypothesis was in terms of when they first started the experiment. And so the celebrity type that I bring up here is Bill Gates. Bill Gates is a classic C type that is very logical, very objective. They take the emotions out of how they work, and they just look at the cold, hard facts. So when you're working with a C type, you better be ready to answer a lot of hard-hitting questions. These are natural-born skeptics that are going to want to know, have you thought of this, or where can this slip between the cracks? And if you're able to address those objections well, you're going to find that you've gained their trust with C types. Just to share a little bit more about Crystal, at Crystal, what we do is we provide AI tools that provide personality data for every business professional. And so whether the need is to understand yourself better, your team members and colleagues, or your customers, we provide the tools to analyze someone's DISC personality type and share how to most effectively communicate with them. We've partnered with Quantum. Quantum's been an amazing partner in taking our offering into their markets. And so for anyone interested in a longer discussion or a longer demo of our product, please go to crystalknows.com/quantum and fill out the form on the bottom of the page. This is our last slide here that I'll cover. I'm gonna end my portion of the presentation by doing something a little fun using our tools. We actually analyzed all of the registrants that registered for this webinar to understand what personality type are the folks that registered for this webinar. What I'll quickly share is it's a pretty eclectic group. We have personalities from all different quadrants, but there was one clear winner, and the D types were the most prevalent personality types from our registrants. With that, we're going to do a quick demo of Crystal, and we are actually going to view Gordon Ramsay's profile and show you how Crystal works with our most popular tool, our Chrome extension. So to give you a little bit of background about Crystal and what we do, again, we are an AI tool, and our most popular tool is our Chrome extension, which sits on top of LinkedIn to analyze all of the contents that you find on a LinkedIn profile. It takes everything from the about section that someone writes, to activities that they've posted, to the titles and the industries that they've worked at, education, skills, interests, anything that you can find on a LinkedIn profile, we take into our AI tool to predict what their DISC personality type is. And so if I expand our Chrome extension here, by analyzing Gordon Ramsay's LinkedIn profile, we say that Gordon Ramsay's is a D-type personality. He's decisive, fast-paced, assertive, and when you communicate with him, you want to be direct and you want to place value on high standards and strong performance. If this isn't Gordon Ramsay's, I don't know what is. In addition to that, we share what are some do's and don'ts. So if I were to meet with Gordon Ramsay's, what are some things that I should do as I interact with him versus don't? And we also share tips on how to work with Gordon Ramsay's all up and down the sales funnel. So whether you're just prospecting Gordon Ramsay's and you're looking to sell and book a meeting with Gordon Ramsay's, all the way down to you may have a proposal out and you want to create some urgency with Gordon, we give you tips all based on the fact that Gordon is a D-type personality and there's a certain way that he naturally wants to behave and communicate. What we talked about is the sales application of Crystal. We also have other applications that help with team collaboration, with hiring, all using personality data. But for the portion of my presentation, I know our other guest speakers will talk about that. So that concludes our demo of Crystal for my portion here today.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. That was very interesting. I think a lot of people would have wanted some of that information on how to deal with Gordon Ramsay in the past and some of the MasterChef stuff, hey? So with that, I'd like to hand over to Gary Green, Managing Director and Founder of Quantum, to talk a little bit more about gaining a competitive advantage.
Yeah, thanks, Ursula. Yeah, just for background, Quantum, we started 9 years ago, and we basically become a market-leading digital transformation company that provides expertise in artificial intelligence and automation, as well as operational excellence. We very much focus around the people side of transformation and change and how you leverage technology. Because at the end of the day, it's not just the technology, it's people, processes, data, and how those systems integrate together. So the people side of it is absolutely critical. And basically, we kind of meld stuff together to kind of give you an advantage. From Quantum, we provide pragmatic advice across AI strategy, roadmaps, new ways of working, and AI is our kind of growth area, as well as advising companies on what they need to do, as well as implementation and integration. And as you can see down there, we're a Crystal's partner, as well as we've got a number of other leading technologies that we implement, but we are agnostic on the technology. It's about the outcomes, what works for a business, and how you can make advantage. AI is obviously a really hot topic for people, and we get approached all the time saying the board wants AI, you know, we've got to look at it and so on. And again, you can see that the economic opportunity is huge, and I think this is probably actually understated. The kind of value of 80 billion, that's in the Australia, New Zealand region. And again, globally, it's just area that's just growing and growing, and investments that's going in, and the ability to use it to, you know, gain an edge within your business. Next slide. Yeah. And what we've seen, I say there's three inevitabilities that are definitely going to happen. And we're in the midst of, when we say midst, we're at the start of the fourth industrial revolution. And there's AI is just one of those technologies. There's about 20, 30 plus technologies that are exponential and disruptive. And AI is one of your biggest opportunities, but it's also your biggest threat. And what's absolutely critical is your ability to adapt to and do it rapidly. You can't just sit on the sidelines and not do something. You're going to have to adopt these technologies and embed them into your organization. Otherwise, your competitors will, and you'll be out of business. Next slide. And we've kind of seen this across automation improvement as well as AI, but basically some of the biggest drivers people are looking at AI to kind of solve for them is around how do you improve customer relationships? And Crystal's an absolute, no-brainer for helping there. It can also help with your productivity and sales process. You can also, as you'll hear from Tommy and James, how they're embedded into their company to help with productivity, but focusing on high value activity. We've certainly seen how it's helped sales and also around AI's cost. And again, a lot of these things, when I go into clients and ask them what's their biggest driver, they normally say all of these. And can you do it tomorrow? And can we have more? So next. But I also look at that AI is not a silver bullet, and I look at how you're going to implement AI and the levels of value, because basically you've got individual value and productivity, you've got team value and productivity, and organizational value and productivity. And as you go from level 1 value to level 3, it goes from low to high, the sort of benefits you've got, the complexity of the organization you're looking at, and the investment. And when we looked at Crystal Knows, we see it very much as an individual productivity tool, but if you're smart, you can make it into a team productivity tool to actually drive real value in your business. And again, with Tommy and James, we integrated how you use these sorts of tools into your organization so you can actually drive up the return on your investment and the value you get from embedding this. And for ourselves, we've actually embedded Crystal into our sales process. We reevaluated last year our sales process, refined it. We embedded Crystal within that to basically shorten sales cycle, get better response times. And can you go back one? Sorry.
Oh, apologies.
And also, we around that, we also use it in our consulting and advisory. So, for example, we kicked off with a client today where we ran all profiles of everybody. We used Crystal as a foundation for that, so we could have better performing workshops as well as teams within that. And at the moment, we're recruiting for a role, and we use Crystal to support us in that as well. So, we found it such a great tool for ourselves. And when we showed our clients what we were doing, people said, we want this. So we kind of got hold of Brandon, and he kind of, we worked together becoming a partner, and it's worked really well. Next. And as Brandon said, it's a platform. You saw before the power of the kind of plugin for LinkedIn, and and you'll see how kind of Tommy and James are using that to kind of drive some of their business and helps them. But again, we use it. If I'm going to phone someone up, I'll use it. I'll check on it. I use the plugin as well in Outlook. So before I go into a meeting, it gives me a rundown of who's in the meeting. And if there's multiple people, I can instantly produce a playbook. So I know, what type, if it's a pre-sales meeting, if it's a negotiation, etc. It just gives me insights and make sure I'm prepared. What the personality type is, how people will react, how I'm going to approach it. And again, it's that thing of going that you've got all these kind of things when you're meeting a kind of customer. How you're going to get on with them, do you understand them, etc. And again, we had a kind of customer that we were working with that we'd worked for many years, but our sponsor regularly changed. We had a new sponsor we've not met, and so we used Crystal to get the profile. It was absolutely spot on. They were a D, and so we kind of structured our presentation and approach with, as you said, a bit like dealing with Gordon Ramsay, when you would be fast-paced, want quick answers, no detail, not necessarily detail, but what's a competitive advantage. 3 days later, we had a proposal with 3 options: a low, medium, high return reward scenario, and he went for the high reward, high risk, and we kicked off 6-figure deal within a week, having never met the person. And for us, Crystal just paid for itself straight away within the first week. We just kind of, it just showed us the value. If we hadn't done that, we would have missed the deal, because we just would have gone in to try and build a rapport. We were just a step ahead all the time. And with this particular client, we showed him afterwards, he was just blown away, because it also meant with our delivery team, they knew exactly how to communicate, run the project, and make it succeed. And again, make sure that we were talking the same language and not cross purposes. So next slide. So again, it's for us, we found that you can understand your customer and their preferences really easily. And again, even if it's not right, because nothing's 100%, you've got a good indication, and you know the other types of personalities, so you can pick up on the clues as to if they're not that. Again, it's helped with our sales cycle, and we've tailored our communications. I look at anyone I'm communicating with, and I'll tailor it to that personality, so that I get better kind of response rates for meetings, etc., follow-ups, getting an answer, getting a decision. And again, for us, it's definitely helped with our conversion rate and shortened our sales cycle. And also for our team, as I mentioned, we use it in every aspect of our interaction with customers and suppliers. So it just means that we're actually more productive in the meetings, that the team performance has actually gone up around that. Also, our team understands each other better and how to strengths, weaknesses, blind spots, how you work well together, what would annoy someone, what wouldn't annoy someone, what empowers someone and gets them fired up, and what's a distractor that you don't want to go to. Okay. Next. And again, we kind of ran the interestingly, we've run these profiles on all our team as to the roles and jobs they're in, to make sure are they a right fit. And then we also use it for recruiting as well. And interestingly as well, we've also run the profiles on our existing customers to look at the profiles and who we're dealing with, and where we've had a deal that went well and was seamless or went at the same pace, or others that seem to drag. And there's definitely different, and we've adapted our perfect persona or our personas for selling around that, because we've found that decision makers in certain roles, that Ds will make decisions quickly. Influential decision makers will make a decision, but they take people along on the journey, want to socialize it. Steady want to be friends first. Conscientious will want a lot of detail. And so we kind of adapted our kind of sales style and technique, and don't get frustrated as we would in the past, because we expected everyone that we're selling to would be a D.
Yeah.
And I'll put this up here, but this is, thanks, Brandon. I've taken it from your great collateral. But these are just some of the stats that Crystal have seen. And then for us, these are just some of the use cases that we've kind of been seeing this, of how valuable it's been for us in prospecting, landing new sales, but also managing our existing accounts, how we've pulled together proposals and tenders, and equally helped some of our clients with proposals and tenders by giving them insights into the teams they're dealing with. I mentioned before our ops and delivery staff, also our customer support as well. And again, we use it in our workshops. And we actually, when I've not shared this yet with Brandon, but there's a client we kicked off with this week. We won an RFP, but we showed in that RFP how we're using AI to run our business and how we would use it in our operations with them and running workshops and stuff. And with Crystal Nose in there, and actually it swung us the deal. We won the bid because of how we're using the AI and giving practical impacts to that, and how we'd actually be more efficient in running this and getting better outcomes. So no, I can't say, I mean, I like it so much that we kind of became a partner, but I just can't sing the praises enough, because I've just seen the benefits that we have had in embedding it properly within your business to kind of really reap the rewards. Equally, if you've got a difficult customer or an issue, it's great to unpick because there can be personality clashes and you defuse it or bring in a personality that's more compatible. I mentioned recruitments, and just within our team, it's just helped so much more that we understand each other more. And then also in how we think about our outgoing communications and marketing as well. So next.
Right. Thank you, Gary. Really appreciate the very good business insights there. And with that, we'll hand over to Tommy from Tommy & Co. to talk us through kind of a use case and the impact it's had on your business. Tommy.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Gary, Ursula, for your invitation and opportunity to be able to share my experience with using Crystal Notes. Now, I don't know, I couldn't see the attendees' face, but I know after lunch, it is a bit of a death presentation slot. So, take the opportunity to loosen up a bit and, slap yourself in the face a little bit, wake up a little bit, and because it's the best 10 minutes of this afternoon. So at Tommy & Co., our motto is that we're here to build better businesses for you. So, and a little bit about myself. Next slide.
Apologies.
Wake up, wake up. Yes, so you can see me and my 4 darlings. I got 3 daughters and wife. So I'm a husband, father, brother, and a son. I'm an undergraduate from Waikato University. Did my master's at University of Auckland, and that's incidentally where I met Gary, actually. And I've been a chartered accountant and business advisor for more than 20 years. Now I'm owner of Tommy & Co. We've got 8 full-time staff based in Pukekohe and 4 contractors, so total 12 people. Yeah, you also would have noticed that I look a little bit different to my speaker photo because I have recently lost 17 kilos or 38 pounds. Actually, pounds sounds a lot more impressive. And so got a keen health and wellness focus and really, really enjoy helping people and businesses to grow. So yes, our vision is building a better future for you, one business at a time. And our key values are we're professional with heart. And when is the last time you seen an accountant with heart or IRD with heart? It just doesn't happen. And what does that mean? It's that help. Everyone comes through that door in my practice needed some sort of help, and we're there to help. Empathy, we genuinely understand people's situation, challenges, and their goals. We add value every opportunity we have. And today, hopefully, I'll be adding some value to your world. And we focus on relationships, and we love to teach our clients. And these are the 2 key values on why we are using Crystal Notes. So why Crystal Notes? So one of the first thing is that the thing for Tommy & Co. this year is around building stronger and better relationships with our own people, with our clients, and with our partners. And I am aware of DISC as a tool, and I actually really liked it. But there are some issues with using traditional DISC approaches. So typically you had to buy through a advisor, so you had to run a process. It's actually quite expensive, so it's quite cost prohibitive to do it for a scale. So from my memory, it's probably $300 per person. If you want to do an entire team, you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000 straight away. And also, once you've done your profile, it's a long waiting time for the advisors or a consultant to put the reports together and send it to you. So wait another week after you've done your profile. And, sometimes looking at your own profile will only give you limited value. So some people might know themselves very well, so it's no surprise. Some people, there are lots of surprises, but how do you actually use it without comparing yourself with someone else? It's really limited insights you can generate from this profile. And also it's difficult to put, 4 or 5 people just together and build a group report around how the dynamics of the groups and what are the things to watch out for. And also the traditional DISC tool, comes as a report, PDF format. It's not really integrated with your systems. So I'm just about to meet Gary. I couldn't remember Gary's disk profile. So it's actually pretty hard for me to use the knowledge I have if I can't remember this profile. So, this is why we use Crystal Knows. Next slide. So what do we actually do? One is that if you wanted to leverage Crystal Knows as a tool, I will recommend to look for a partner to implement. The reason why is really around, it's not really about the report, it's about how you use it. And by engaging a partner, that's going to really help you to speed up that learning curve and start to get value very, very quickly. So what we did was we ran an internal workshop around disk, and also we profiled each individual team member, and we had a session unpacking the team dynamics, allow us to get to know each other better. So a lot of time, even though you have worked with someone for 5, 6, 7 years, you actually don't know that person. So we find that straight away, we have better team communications straight away. And off the back of that, I saw engagement from the team just leveled up immediately. And also, I'm using the tool now for all the hiring, firing, feedback, conflict management process internally. And on the disk wheel, you'll see that actually my team, and you would expect that, is got a lot of S-type personalities with 2 kind of I-type personality. And the thing is, what this allows us to understand that we're actually all different. And we also can see that there are probably some gaps that we need to cover. But what is the most important thing, and I think got the most value out of the session, is that me taking the lead of sharing my profile, my strengths and weaknesses with the team. So actually it's a, pennies dropped, when I share my profile, is that my team were sort of, they got questions about my behaviors and things like that. But after looking at my profile, they get a lot more understanding. And for example, one of my weaknesses is details. One of my weaknesses is that I don't really like rigid processes, but actually they are strengths of my team. And very quickly they understood why they are there, why they are supporting the business, and why they are part of the team is to actually fill these gaps. So I feel that is one of the benefits of having Crystal Knows. So yeah, of course your team is more engaged, but you're still gonna have to make more money. So we also use Crystal Knows for our client engagement. So obviously understand their behaviors, how they make decisions. So in our sort of prospecting process, even managing client relationships, so existing client relationship, to increase their experience as a client of Tommy & Co. And what we have done is we have incorporated the Crystal Knows team profiling process in my strategy engagements, where the very first part of the strategy engagement is to unpack the team profiles, this wheel, and how each other can get more and better performance out of each other. And actually that just such a success. Like all my strategy sessions now, they are long sessions, guys, 3 to 4 hours. Not a boring moment. Everybody's super engaged because you started by talking about them, not about business, talking about them and their team, how they can get extra performance from the human. And just a funny side is I actually have used this to help my friends and family to deal with their relationship problem, because if your relationship problem is from poor communications, you can also use Crystal Knows to help them to get to understand each other better. But there are a few things you got to ask yourself if Crystal Knows the right fit for you. If you are looking for a silver bullet, i.e., I'm just gonna buy Crystal Knows like a gym membership, and without using it, and you're gonna get thin or you're gonna get value, then forget about it. So there's something that you will need to turn it into an initiative. So you allow yourself to invest time and maybe a little bit of money into it to get the value that you need from it. Also, I have people say, hey, look, you are just mind tricking people. Is it actually ethical? I will say that absolutely ethical, because if you're treating other people the way they wanted to be treated and not the way you want to be treated, you're actually being very polite and courteous as a person, because who doesn't want to be treated, the way they want to be treated? Yeah. So it's absolutely good, but it does not replace human interactions. So you cannot just profile someone and assume that you know this person 100%. This is a tool for you to get that rapport and build trust very quickly. There will still be questions you need to ask to deepen that relationship and make that interaction really good. So AI, therefore, is here to enhance your human experience and not here to replace that. You got to ask yourself, how valuable are these insights to you? Gary gave us an example. One deal is all it takes. For me, the engagement for my team in the very first month they roll it out, it's already paid for this tool 2 or 3 times already. And you're also going to think about how you're going to deploy such a tool and have some goals on what values you want to generate before you jump boots in. And I think that's the end of my presentation.
Awesome, thank you.
LinkedIn.
Seem to have a technical glitch. In a moment. All right. Thank you, Tommy. And as I've mentioned before, you're welcome to take Tommy's details down, but we will be reaching out to everybody post-event. Right, now we'll hand over to our last speaker for the day, James, Colin, founder and managing director for Colin & Co., to talk a little bit about their experience with Crystal Knows. Thank you, James.
Thanks, Ursula. Really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak and tell you about our experience with Crystal Knows. I'll keep this short and sharp, as I see the audience is starting to dwindle a bit there. So we'll try and keep it punchy and exciting for you over the next few minutes. In terms of Collins & Co Realty, we've been going 1 year. So we're based in Dunedin in this bottom of the South Island. I run a real estate company, made the decision to go out on my own obviously 12 months ago and have a couple of agents working alongside me and then my wife. And administration-wise, we have Emma, who leads our team, with 2 virtual assistants in the Philippines as well. So I'll just go to the next slide there, Ursula. So in terms of how we use Crystal Knows, we really wanted to find a competitive advantage for against our competitors who are mainly some of the bigger players and franchise names that most people will be familiar with any real estate world brands. So for us, the way Crystal Knows works for us is that we can get an understanding before we've either met with the client or the customer about what kind of style that they would suit, and so we can tailor our presentation to that. So I'll use Sam, who actually works alongside me, but previously, before he became a real estate agent, he was a client, and we sold quite a few properties for him. He was always, actually, as I always tell him, quite a difficult client. And so we've had many meetings since we've done the disc profiling, and lots of giggles about that whole process since then. So the one thing about Sam, he was always quite hard in a negotiation process, which made it quite an easy transition into real estate. So for me, it was really just building that rapport with him, and also making sure my communication was really clear and concise. So just go to the next one there, please, Ursula. So the one thing, how we go about it, I suppose, when you look at this, you can see he fits into, he swings actually. We like to sort of profile our customers into 4 categories, which I know we'll on the disc profile there. I don't get too bogged down around exactly the type of person they are, because I think the more detail you go to it, the more it can sort of affect the way your presentation. But for us, it's really important that we know, right, they're either in that influencer model, you know, that they've got a strong personality, and then we can pitch. The one thing that I have really experienced with it, though, is probably more so with the analyst profile. They're the ones that obviously spend a bit more time wanting to understand the information and review it at a later date. And I think for every salesperson, you feel that you can lose them if you don't sign them up in the room. So that's been a real learning curve for me when I look back at some of the people now, to just step back and go, okay, I'm probably not going to get the business in that second or third meeting as much as what I would usually with another disc profile personality. So that's been a bit of a game changer for us, for sure. Slide across. Thanks, Ursula. Yeah, so as mentioned, dominant, influential, steady, conscientious. So that conscientious one, especially, as I say, that skeptic one, is always quite a hard one for me. I float in that DI to I think, usually when it's done, and that for me is probably the harder one to really crack. So for me now, it's just understanding that, yeah, everyone is totally different, and I need to make sure that if I'm providing data, especially in that in that conscientious one, that there's a lot more stat driven. It's not all about the marketing side of it. My background's in marketing, so sometimes you can get a bit excited with the video or the photos and how we're going to do things, but actually it's more they're wanting to see statistics and, you know, see that we have sold 100 properties and what were those houses and how did that process go, a lot more than someone who is pretty quick to make a decision. So that's been a real learning curve for all the agents, I think, in our business, for sure. Yeah, so I'll just go to the next one there, Ursula. So just in terms of that internal process for us, as mentioned, we've got 2 VAs who've been on board with us from the Philippines, and they've been fantastic at, so the process now for us is that when we go and get called into a property to look at, that we obviously get them to find out the information around the house, but also now it's gone a step further with Crystal Knows that we can find out about the person, and we can run the disc profiling on them before we even meet, and then we can look and go, right, we're going to include more statistics-based presentation, we're going to have more photos and more of a visual presentation. So it's been, it really does give us the competitive advantage around that, which is really exciting. So as mentioned, just quickly to wrap up, really, that for us, we see it as a real competitive advantage. purely because if you look at a franchise, there is a bit of a cookie cutter approach about marketing. You're either going to an auction, you're either non-price or you've got a price on it. So we can tailor it right down to exactly their personality type. And what we do know is a lot of people, especially on that side of wanting steady and conscientious, are probably not going to be an auction-focused sort of type of client. And so we can tailor it to say, right, what about a deadline sale, for instance, which then gives them the opportunity to assess all the offers when we present all the offers to them. So there is a bit more time. They don't feel pressured. And for us, that's certainly been a real game changer.
Awesome. Thank you very much, James. And with that, that concludes our webinar for today. So we'll go to the Q&A section now. There have been some questions around the recording being made available. And Emily has responded in the chat. Yes, we will make the recording available after the event. And we'll make that available for download. So we'll be sending the links through in the follow-up emails. I just want to see if there are. Brandon, do you see any questions in the chat?
I see one question here about Crystal. And just as a reminder, for those that have questions, feel free to use the Q&A section at your panel. Awesome. It looks like we're getting a couple of questions in.
Yeah.
The first question that I see, Ursula, is how is Crystal primarily used?
Yeah.
And I can quickly field that. It sounds like it's more of a Crystal question. Really, we see three different use cases of where our customers that find the most success use Crystal in. The first is during the sales process. I think whenever we have a meeting that's really, really important, being prepared for that meeting is of paramount importance. And so you kind of go into their LinkedIn profile, you look at what they've done in the past, you try and find any conversation starters to prepare for that meeting. What our customers use us for that process is to understand the personalities that are in the room. So in addition to knowing what the business does, what's going on with press releases within the company, knowing the personality is where we deliver the most value in the sales end. Tommy and James also mentioned a few other case studies here. The second major case study is team collaboration. Whether you're hosting an annual summit or a quarterly workshop, understanding the makeup of your team and being vulnerable to show the personality that you are, just to show that you have strengths and weaknesses as well, is a big use case that we see. And finally, hiring. We don't ever say use personality data to only make your hiring decision, but it should be a factor in your hiring decision in addition to their experience, their expertise, et cetera. So again, from the sales perspective, team collaboration, and the hiring perspective, those are the three use cases we see the most.
Thanks, Brandon. We also have a question around what if the person does not have a LinkedIn profile?
Great question. We are able to understand personality through three means. One is through their LinkedIn profile, which I demoed for you guys today on today's webinar. But we are also able to look up personalities based on email address. This is through our data partners. We work with a lot of different data partners that house information just based on your email address. But we can look up what your personality type if we have a match from our third-party data provider. And finally, it's through our online DISC assessment. We can share a universal link to our DISC assessment. It takes about 5 minutes to fill out some quick responses. And based on those results, we can tell what their personality is.
Awesome. And Brandon, we actually have a question directly for you. I'm curious if your analysis goes beyond the LinkedIn profile of people, looking more broadly at the person's digital footprint beyond just LinkedIn.
Yeah, right now it's only based on LinkedIn so far, but we've gotten a lot of requests around Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram, some other social platforms, but today it can only be done on LinkedIn using our Chrome extension.
And then another question, can you detect if someone has used something like a ChatGPT to write their profiles for them?
Great question. In this day and age, I think everything is written by ChatGPT.
Mhm.
We don't have that in-house to be able to detect if it's written by a Gen AI tool. But that's really interesting feedback.
Yeah.
I think
And in-
picking up on that as well is that because, like you say, there's various attributes of how you can understand personality. The most accurate's doing a personality assessment. The second one is analyzing text that people have written and having a big enough volume. The other one's attribute analysis. And that even, like you say, with what people put on LinkedIn and stuff being generated, I've been in meetings where people say, try this person, try that. And I've had it from the complete minimum of LinkedIn of not a lot, and it comes up with a pretty spot on review of someone. Because it's that thing of you kind of assume personality of what you work in and you're natural, because you tend to gravitate towards roles that you're comfortable in and not uncomfortable. And, you know, I was in a CEO forum where we were talking about AI and showing them, and I showed them Crystal, and I said, bring up the current New Zealand Prime Minister, who's Chris Luxon, came up as D. Anyone that's met him, he is a D. He's a bit like Ramsey. And then they asked, oh, let's bring up John Key, because you're going, if you look at the profiles, they're both politicians, both in the same job. And John Key came up as a DI because of, you know, some of the other stuff he'd done. So it's actually, the algorithm is pretty smart. So even though people will write stuff, it's also those attributes around the roles and what you do and education, etc., and the other stuff.
So just in the interest of time, we've got 1 minute left. We do have a question around for a small business working to make project sales to the construction industry with 1 or 2 customer-facing salespeople. Would it be worth us looking at this? And roughly what would the costs be? So we can definitely take this offline and have a conversation with you. I think it would be worth it. And we can reach out to you post the event, or you're welcome to reach out to me via LinkedIn. Or respond to the email that we send out tomorrow. And then Rob also asked, can you elaborate a little more on the partners you work with to gather the data based on a person's email address?
Yeah, so we work with a bunch of data providers. These are hundreds of $1 million businesses that just focus on gathering your data in a GDPR compliant way. And it mixes and matches your email address to your social handle, your job experiences, the schools that you went to, all the information that you actually find on LinkedIn, but they have other means of finding that information to aggregate their data sources. So we have about 2 partners that we work with to ensure that our matches are at a high rate. And for those that want more information, I'd be happy to have that conversation with the Quantum team.
All right, and let's just see if there's anything else. No, it looks like that's everything. I will go through, Emily and I will go through and make sure that we have fielded all the questions. But with that, I'd like to thank everybody for your time, and we're bang on time. And thank you to the speakers. We really appreciate your time today, and for everybody joining our webinar. We look forward to hearing from all of you and help you build some success in creating better human relationships and interactions. With that, thanks everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Goodbye.